Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate this. And we'll be doing some introductions throughout this Media Trends webinar. We will also be uploading it and sharing it from a partner's perspective. So I know you'll be taking notes frivolously, but we will have this for you after. Another kind of housekeeping thing is to chat us any of your Q&A, and we will answer all questions at the end of the webinar. We'll start with PR and some media trends, and then Catherine will take us into social media trends. So thank you so much for joining us today. So just to meet the team, first of all, I no longer have blonde hair, which you can obviously see from my extremely old headshot, but I am Brittany Chapman. I'm the president of our Florida offices from Lou Hammond Group, Tampa Bay area and Miami, working with the Paradise Coast team alongside my VP, Mackenzie, who you will hear from shortly. But we lead the Florida efforts and Florida offices for LHG from a PR perspective. So collectively across a number of fields from hotel brands to destinations, both international and domestic, we have had the opportunity and honestly blessing to work with fantastic destinations such as Paradise Coast. So we're excited to be here today with y'all. And then, as I mentioned, we support Paradise Coast team alongside the Paradise advertising team on the social side, and really want to make sure that we are getting those impactful relationships with media, showing them what Collier County has to offer, and really driving home not only Naples, Marco Island, and the Everglades, but everything in between. So we're constantly looking for new storylines, and you'll see some of this as we talk through media trends and where we can really leverage your relationships as well and the information you have to share from a partner perspective. So don't be shy to reach out to us or Maria or Sandra or Buzzy to share what you have going on in the destination and from a business perspective. All right, here's a few media topics and trends that we're seeing. And these are always flexible. There's always something different to talk about. As I'm sure you've heard, can continue to hear on a daily basis, AI is playing a huge part in travel. Whether travelers are using AI chatbots to get inspiration on where to go and the top things to do in a destination. The only thing about AI is that obviously it doesn't have that personality that we can offer. So that's something to keep in mind as you're using AI in whether it's your marketing efforts or storytelling efforts. Major travel booking platforms are integrating AI, obviously from a booking perspective and booking the experience. And different types of AI features are constantly coming out, whether it's tied to a travel booking site or it's tied to a destination and their itinerary planner. Just kind of look for these things and maybe look and see how you can implement them into your own marketing efforts. And in terms of travel writing, a lot of the editors that we're talking to, writers that we're talking to, really want that unique perspective and storytelling. They aren't going to take stories that are written by AI. And a number of times there are kind of programs that can look in to see, is this article written with AI? Is it a traditional article by an actual writer themselves? So that's one thing that we're looking and talking to editors about and writers about is it's important to understand they want that authentic messaging, authentic storytelling that has that personality. Obviously, digital first, this has been a long time coming. So publishing houses are pulling print distribution. They're not necessarily doing print magazines anymore, but they obviously are favoring the digital emphasis. This is great for us because digital has a much longer footprint and it can live evergreen, it can be updated. And then not to mention the SEO factors of the keywords that we're making sure we're using in our pitching is holding longer and having a greater impact. One example, Dotdash Meredith ending print editions for 6 of these titles. You'll see Eating Well, Health, In Style, but they are definitely living from a digital perspective. Again, longer shelf life, and they're constantly looking for new content because it is an evergreen process and it's a revolving door on content. So that's kind of where these trends come into play. If you can offer an extension out of any of these trends or any other storyline you think would make sense from a PR perspective or even a social perspective for Catherine, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, what's real news? Where to get it? The average adult is really looking for social media. They're looking for social media. Obviously, this has continued to be a trend. It just evolves into a different landscape and category. Traditional news sources are also using affiliate links and virtual storytelling and digital. So their social media channels, such as podcasts, Instagram, Facebook, are delivering that news in a different category and vertical, in addition to online traditional long form writing. As you can see, many young consumers have abandoned the traditional news, the newspapers, or whatever it may be. I think podcasts have a really big opportunity, both from a travel perspective and just general consumer perspective. So we're also looking into podcast opportunities that we might be able to get earned on, because again, a lot of the news, whether it's the Wall Street Journal, or the Skift, has opportunities to really enhance that news aspect on your morning drive or your drive home from work. So we're looking and exploring that as well. All right, media, avoiding media. So ironically, media where we used to have very large fam trips pre-COVID, we are seeing more individualized press trips. This is great because they're actually able to have a true experience as a traveler, as a person who's truly vacationing, whether it's with a plus one or on a solo trip. So we really make sure to have those more impactful individual experiences rather than a mass camping ground with camp counselors where we're shuffling them around. So you'll see that more individualized experience coming through from us. And also from equal importance, where, how, and how they travel and who they travel with is important. The type of experience you're going to have with your husband or wife or someone you've never met from Idaho is completely different. So we want to make sure that you're having the best experience, that these writers are being taken care of in the best way, going to the partners that make sense for them and their storyline, and really catering to what they're looking for on a story level. And LHG, from our perspective of PR, we're also focusing on individual and buddy trips, like we said, a plus one, or maybe it's two editors that are traditionally friends that can take one trip together and they're writing two different stories. So we're looking into those opportunities as well. As more media become freelancers and aren't necessarily writing for one publication, we're seeing this a lot where one writer is writing for a number of different outlets. So we're taking note of that and paying attention to that throughout our efforts in 2024. Awesome. And we'll have Mackenzie Comer take it away from here.
Thank you, Britt. I'm going to walk through what's hot with today's travelers. And again, trends change every day, every minute, but these are some that we're really looking to for 2024. As most of you know, we have a solar eclipse coming this year, this April. And although we are not in the path of totality in the destination, the whole concept of astrotourism is growing. Stargazing is popular, obviously, since the dawn of civilization, but I think more of that soul searching and soul soothing experience is becoming more of interest. You'll see that in some of the other trends. We're really looking inward and how can travel help us just be a better person, not necessarily always for social media. Um, and an increasingly virtual world is providing us the desire to be in the real universe. So I think some of these trends obviously really relate to our less densely populated areas. Travelers who want to avoid pollution, crowds, and traffic are going to focus on nature. So places like Everglades and the surrounding communities there. Um, Hotels can also capitalize on this. And although, again, like I mentioned, we're not in that path, obviously we have a beautiful destination that has amazing stargazing. These are things that different hotels can capitalize on. And again, just another plug here is the Cypress National Preserve. We know that that's surrounding in the Everglades. But this will be in April, but we see this astrotourism continuing and us just finding a way to, maybe we're not in that totality, but we are going to make sure that we're trying to hijack that news angle. Next slide. Sports tourism. I'm sure many of you all have known and found out that USL is coming to Naples. This is incredibly exciting. And thanks to documentary series like Formula One, which got so much attention on Netflix, people are taking their fandom out of the house and following a host of different sports and destinations across the world. 2024 is also the year of the Olympics. So People will be traveling to Paris for that, and just the excitement around sports grows when we see an Olympic year. Trips that hinge around seeing games, races are, and also allow us to extend trips to see the sites. So I know we have USL coming, likely 2025, but we're keeping that on the pulse and making sure we're tapping into other sports related events in the destination as we see that growing. And I think you also see it growing that you don't have to be a diehard fan of something. People just love to experience things. And whether you love spring training or you just are kind of into baseball, experiencing these things with your family and friends is something beyond going to a restaurant and enjoying beverages and food. Gig tripping. I think we can call it the Taylor Swift effect. I'm sure everybody has heard about this, but destination concert business is up more than 50%, thanks to our girl who's also helping the NFL. Fans are willing to see their favorite stars and make a vacation of it. So we're just keeping a pulse on different concerts in the destination and also in the surrounding destination. Because it's not just necessarily about the music anymore. It's that social aspect of sharing experiences with friends, which we talked about before. So how can we get someone from a surrounding destination to decide to extend their trip in our destination? So making sure again we're looking at hijacking opportunities to gain visitors in the destination. Skip Gen. This is a super fun trend, especially for any of us with children. It's growing in 2024. So grandparents traveling with their grandkids and the parents are staying home or doing their own thing. So the big thing about this is the grandparents are traveling to places with sentimental meaning, which I think bodes well with our destination because of the audience and our demographic that typically travels there. So these are healthier grandparents staying active. Maybe they're taking their grandkids to the beach. They're doing a jet ski experience and taking them to the botanical garden. So this trend really is amazing for the Naples, Marco Island, Everglades region. And we're excited to be able to capitalize on this. And we know that this is something that media are going to be super interested in this year and doing roundups and whatnot. Silent travel. In the age of overstimulation, like I mentioned, I think this relates a lot again to that astrotourism angle. There's things are laddering up to some of these other trends, but people are looking to experience a little bit more silence in their travel, a chance to restore and reset. I think we've seen this growing trend. And there's certainly ways for hotels to capitalize on this or destination partners. So silent meditation retreats, maybe it's a spa offering some specialty services for a day. But there's definitely things that we can do to make sure we're part of this trend. I know we have forest bathing in the destination. So anything that is even remotely close to this, we want to hear about because we know writers are going to be looking for something like this. And again, there's the wildlife. It doesn't have to be so squarely into some of these very, box sleep retreats, quiet hotels, because that might not be what our destination offers, finding a way to work this angle to our favor. And wild feasting, this is a fun one. Travelers are just tired of eating sandwiches. Maybe it's in front of a computer or it's at a bar with the TV. They're looking for these culinary experiences that are beautifully curated. You're seeing this in a number of different brands that are offering feasts along the beach or in beautiful outdoor areas, but this includes incorporation of hyper local and foraged ingredients. This is something that we can incorporate by talking about farmers market or fishing with stone crabs or cooks with chef provided recipes outdoors. So there's really a lot of opportunity here. And this is something that maybe it's not something currently offered in the destination, but the PR team can come up with some creative ideas to implement them. And small group travel is kind of taking a page from multi-generational travel. You're seeing families and younger families, neighbors, or friends traveling together and renting larger vacation homes or private villas, or even taking over a floor at a hotel. So I think our destination offers a lot here because we have our beautiful hotels with multiple different pools and things on site where it makes it super easy for friends and families to not have to leave, but also have the opportunity to if they'd like. We know the Ritz-Carlton has multi-level rooms where you have your room on one level and more of an entertaining space on another. So if your hotel offers anything that might be relatively close to something like this, a room that would bode well for a group, we want to hear about it so that we can lean into this trend. Destination dupes. We can thank TikTok for this, which we're seeing a lot these days. So destinations dupes are trying to make an aspirational travel a little bit more attainable. So you might not be able to make it to somewhere in Europe, but Naples offers a really wonderful international vibe with our shopping and Third Street South and Fifth Avenue. So leaning into these destination dupes and finding it any way we can to say Naples, Florida is like XYZ. We're doing this with the team Sandra and Maria right now to come up with a really creative pitch. So if you think of anything, it doesn't matter how big or how small, please share it with us because this is certainly something that we continue to see media looking for. Okay. I know we love what's in and what's out. So some trends that are out in 2024, jam-packed vacation. This bodes well with our destination. So no one wants to take a vacation from a vacation, doing too much and then coming home and being exhausted. So our destination, I think, offers the perfect mix of having a lot to offer while being able to relax and enjoy your time with your loved ones. Skip lagging. This is a really fun one that took off last year, but now airlines are looking to punish travelers. This is if you wanted to go to New York City and instead of booking a nonstop from Miami to New York, you book a flight from Miami to Dallas and it's through New York and you get off there. This is no longer something that is being promoted because airlines are looking to punish travelers. Cash tips. I think we're seeing QR codes grow massively. We know the Paradise advertising team is using this in their campaigns, but even for housekeeping, looking at digital tipping and then visiting over touristed destinations. Of course, this is something we've continued to see. We've seen destinations introduce tourist tax or limit the number of travelers in a day. So just being mindful of this and not promoting a busy time of year. I think wraps it up, right? Oh, ways to capitalize on trends. So like I mentioned, news hijacking. So media loves stories that tie into current events. So we've seen Barbiecore, we've seen Pantone every year comes out with colors. Excuse me, Sherwin-Williams. Other brands are also coming out with colors of the year, which we on our team try to capitalize on and find ways to wedge ourselves into there. Royal wedding, the Olympics. So anything that that you're doing that could potentially help us create a picture on that we want to hear. Timeliness is key. Yes, this is super crucial. These trends come and go really quick. So it's important to capitalize on it and determine if this is something that actually will hold weight with a journalist. If we wait multiple months to respond to a trend, it's just they've moved on to the next. So making sure that you're timely with what you're offering. Special offers. Coverage is less focused on price and deals and more on special amenities and experiences. So what is a guest getting, not just for that percentage off, but what else are they experiencing? Thought leadership. You can offer your management as expert resource to comment on trends and how they impact your business. This is something we continue to see. It's not just fluffy, here's what we're doing, but we'd love to have leadership that are willing to be available at the drop of a dime to comment on something. Of course, the CVB is always there, but we often look to partners to provide a little bit more context. And have fun. The more outlandish, distinctive, cute, funny, quirky, but helpful for travelers will be hard for media to resist. And this is something that, your PR team is always able to do on our own. We constantly come up with fun ways to spin something, but we're always open to hearing from you. I think that I'm going to hand it over to Catherine.
Thank you, Mackenzie. We're going to shift gears here and talk about the social media trends we're seeing for 2024. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Catherine Peterson, Senior Social Media Manager at Paradise Advertising, the agency of record for the CVB. I manage the organic social media efforts alongside Buzzy Ford. Social media is an ever-evolving landscape. Today, we're going to focus on 3 main trends that we're seeing for your social media strategy. We're going to talk about leveraging AI, which top-performing platforms you should be on, and top-performing content to prioritize. So let's get into the rise of AI. As we all know, over the past year, AI has really taken off. Lou Hammond Group spoke about this from a PR and traveler perspective, but what does it mean for social media? A great way to utilize AI for social media would be to brainstorm content topics for your strategy and also to refine copy points. Social media departments are usually made up of 1 or 2 people, and they're often strapped for time and resources. So it's no surprise that people are gravitating towards AI. However, something to consider is when you're using AI, are you at risk of alienating your audience? So there's 3 questions to ask yourself when you're using it. Number 1, does it sound right? Be aware of the prompts you're inputting to these platforms. Does it sound strange? Does it sound like a robot wrote it? Use their outputs as a guide and not final copy. Number 2, does it reinforce the brand? Do the outputs match the brand language you have across all your marketing channels? Some AI platforms have the option for you to upload your brand voice, but again, please use it as a guide and not final copy. Because it leads us to our third point, number 3. Does it work? Is your audience, if different age groups have different relationships with AI-generated content, so knowing who your audience is will help you develop an AI strategy that's in line with their values and preferences. So above all, it's about finding the right balance between technology and authenticity. Let's get into social media platforms. So in 2024, there are 5 million social media users. Facebook is still the largest online. TikTok is the fastest growing platform, no surprise. YouTube is on the decline, but they still have 2.5 billion users, and Pinterest is the second most visited website in the United States. But all of these stats beg the question, which platform should your businesses be on? The second trend we're seeing is brands are leaving platforms that they don't find value in anymore. There's no need to be everywhere all at once. A great example of this is, as we've seen in the news, Twitter is not what it once was. For Paradise Coast, X is a platform that no longer aligned with the brand, and the engagement rate was proof of that. A lot of users are leaving X/Twitter because of the way the platform has changed. So when you're reevaluating your strategy, a couple questions to ask yourself is, which platforms do you see the most success on? Who is your audience again? What platforms do they spend the most time on? Generally, for the tourism industry, the top 3 are Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Okay, in 2024, brands are focusing on ROI as the top indicator for their reporting. So I have a question for everyone. Why do you use social media? Is it to relax and unwind after the day? Is it to be entertained and look at funny things? Or is it to find inspiration for an upcoming vacation, new restaurant, cooking recipe? We use it as a way to kind of escape our busy lives and find inspiration. So your content as a brand should match that. A lot of brands who are continuously focusing too much on self-promotion is oftentimes perceived in a negative light from users, which would in turn affect your ROI. So what do you prioritize when you're posting? For 2024, we're seeing short form video content still is the top performing content. And also, as Mackenzie mentioned, have fun. Create entertaining content that you'd want to see yourself. So what makes your business or brand unique? Focus on those to make yourself stand out and be more lighthearted, Even if you're in a more serious or regulated industry, there's a way to have fun but still be tasteful. And I believe we still have a few minutes for any questions for myself, for Brittany and Mackenzie.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Mackenzie. As always, y'all let us know, Buzzy or Maria, if there's any Q&A. I personally can't see it right now, but happy to run through any answers that we may need to dive into.
We do not have any questions at this time.
Okay. So once again, y'all, thank you so much. If there is any kind of story you want to tell, to Mackenzie's point, big or small, whether it's tied to one of the trends we discussed today or social media, please don't hesitate to reach out. The collaboration is what we're always looking for. Through all of us, all of the agencies for Paradise Coast, but also just on an individual level, we're always thinking through what creative aspects we can tie ourselves to. So we welcome that collaboration from you all and hope that we can hear from you and talk to you very soon here in 2024 and continue the great relationships that we have with our partners and that we greatly appreciate. So thank you so much for your time today.